Tablet 4, The War in the Skies, 19 times 3 equals 57, 1 go. The first conflict was in the skies of Ilion, the 19th galaxy, also called the Great Galaxy, known as the place on high, where the etheric records called Akasha are kept. 2. The first conflict was when Tarnush, also known as Humbaba, son of Takahut and Sin, tried to take over Ilion. Balus wanted to rule all the stars and the Anunnagi of the skies. 3. Tarnush was second in command under Marduk, son of Enki and Damkina. Tarnush felt that Marduk was not qualified for leading the fleets of his grandfather Anu. 4. During this time, the planet Titan, which is considered a moon of the planet Saturn, was a home base of Humbaba, who was called Cronus, and Saturn, husband of Ops, companion of the fire goddess, Lua, father of Picus. 5. His reigning period was called Saturnalia, and to this day it's celebrated between December 17th and December 25th. Those under Cronus were claiming Anshar, foremost of heavens, which is today called Saturn, which was the astrological sign of Anshar, father of Anu, as their home base. 6. The ringed planet named Saturn rotates very quickly. It takes 10 hours and 40 minutes for it to turn once on its axis. Saturn bulges even more at its equator than Jupiter. Saturn has a very deep atmosphere, which is made up mainly of hydrogen and helium, with some methane and ammonia. At the top of its atmosphere, the temperature is about 900 degrees Fahrenheit. This low temperature causes ammonia in the outer atmosphere to freeze, forming high-altitude haze. 7 more and more space probes from NASA are being sent into space due to the curiosity of mankind. They are trying to rediscover what took place long ago in the heavens. 8 space probes to Saturn are being sent to various planets and moons, such as the Cassini that was sent in 1997 AD, filled with 72 pounds of highly radioactive plutonium. The probe being named after Giovanni Domenico Cassini, an Italian-born French astronomer. 9. The planet Titan was the home base of the disagreeable Anunnagi, which were divided into 12 continents. The Greeks named them 1. Oceanus, 2. Cronus, 3. Cuius, 4. Iapetus, 5. Cronus, 6. Hyperion, 7. Rhea, 8. Mnemosyne, 9. Theia, Themis, 11. Tethys, 12. Phoebe. The disagreeable Anunnagi made Titan an alternative when they were cast out, and the capital was Phoebe, from whence you get the word phobia, an irrational fear of a specific thing or situation, to avoid, or a dislike, or aversion. The space satellite Phobos of Mars was also named after the 12th continent, Phoebe of Titan. This is the mystical 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Ishmael, the 12 signs of the zodiac under their Olympian deities, Zeus as Jesus, born in the 12th month of the Gregorian calendar with 12 disciples, who becomes Jazias, and Yahshua to Yahovah. However, some of these disagreeable Anunnagi took residence on one of the 3 continents of the planet Rizq, the continent called Zarantu. They were restricted from visiting the other 2 continents, Darnuria and Kusmusta, without a Rizqian escort. There was immigration laws set up. However, Rizqians can visit all 3 continents unescorted. Zarantu was under the Tarnush, who wanted total control of Rizq. However, Marduk was chosen by Anu to lead the fleets, and this caused a disagreement between Marduk and Tarnush. Anu's decision for Marduk to lead Anu's fleets caused that disagreement between Marduk and Tarnush, which caused a small war and a clash on the planet Rizq, which comes from the word razaka, meaning to provide. 10. Tarnush, also known as Humbaba, attacked the planet Rizq with a shield depleter, aerosol, a gaseous suspension of fine solid or liquid particles. This substance can today be found in such produce as paint, detergent, or an insecticide, packaged under pressure with a gaseous propellant for release as a spray of fine particles. Today, the children of the Luciferians are using the same tactics here on Earth to deplete the ozone, or shield, of this planet. The aerosol bomb of Tarnush comes from the root word aero, or air, simply atmosphere, aeroballistics, and agas, aerosol, from the Greek word for air, meaning air, and the word sol, meaning sun. So you get air-o for omega ending, and sol, sun. Just like the destruction of the atmosphere and of the sons of Rizq, this same epidemic is also being done here on Earth. This aerosol bomb of Tarnush caused the natural atmosphere of Rizq to deplete. 11. The Rizqians had no protection from the damaging rays of the 3 suns. 12. The atmosphere was dwindling away, and many Rizqians departed to other galaxies. 13. The rays from the three suns Utu, Shamash, and Afsu had put a hole in our ozone layer, as you have now a hole in your ozone layer over Australia expanding daily. 14 Rec, the eighth planet, was the heart and source of that trisolar system, and thus was the most affected, as Earth is the heart of this solar system. 15. All three suns have a magnetic pull that causes a tighter and heavier rotation of its planets. 16. The energy field on Rec was starting to increase and the hole was starting to lose its color. 17. So the Rizqians needed to build a protection, a dome of gold dust to protect the planet from the damaging ultraviolet rays. Gold reflects the sun's rays. Pure gold can easily be beaten or hammered to a thickness of 0.0005 inches and 1.02 ounces, or simply thinner than paper, and can be stretched for more than 60 miles long. It can be made thinner than any metal. This is one of the reasons why gold is a very precious metal and is greatly valued by humans today. 18. It is one of the softest metals, and it is a good conductor of electricity and heat, and it can be easily vaporized better than any metal. Gold is also capable of reflecting intense heat and holds up under any condition. Having this and much more advanced knowledge about pure gold, other metals, and minerals, the Rizqians knew exactly what they were coming for. Gold, having existed since the creation of the planet Earth as you know it, can be found deep in the Earth's crust, volcanic ash, as well as in the vast oceans of this planet. Anu and the other Aluhum knew that the gold of this earth was good long before the birth of man. 19. The Rizqians had to abort Rizq and go to Kessel Orion, which is a 6-star, 6-major sun constellation, thus having hundreds of galaxies. The Rizqians took residence in the planets and star constellations of Mazzaroth, Aish Arcturus, and Kamush Pleiades, making them also temporary homes. Exploration was necessary. Thus, the grafting of explorers became a necessity. 20. This need gave birth to Rumardians, later to become known as Greys. These extraterrestrial biological entities, EBE, were grafted from various extraterrestrial species. They were emotionless and without reproductive capabilities. 21. They serve but one purpose, and that is as explorers and worthy servants. Their explorations took them to Lamu, called Mars, and Sheshki, called the Moon, where plans for the construction of cylinder crafts, called Shams, were built. This took place after the collision with the crafts of the Ninga fleet, also known as the Four Winds. 22. They transported gold dust to the Moon, then to Nibiru, and from there on to the planet Rizq. When this job was completed, these beings were given their freedom. 23. They chose Pleiades and Arcturus as their home. Malevolent Luciferian-type reptilians chose to conquer them and enslave them by performing biological experiments, thereby creating hybrids of them, and they used them as explorers to this planet, and they still control some of them to this very day. 24. Those that took their freedom resided in the Canis Major star constellation near Sept, also called Sothis, which is Sirius, the dog star, having 2 major and 6 minor suns, Zeta Reticuli, just south of the Orion belt. 25. These Greys, sought union with the beings of Earth, having a common enemy, Lucifer, who controls 70 of their empires. 26. As a great warrior, the Rizqians engaged Murdoch's services. They needed somebody who was a warrior type to go and seek out the gold and transport it by Nibiru to Rizq. 27. The Rizqians were being ambushed by reptilians. 28. And at that time, Murdoch was a disagreeable Yahwehan, or what you would call a warrior. 29. He was chosen to lead this mission, which first had to be started by attacking Humbaba. Murdoch was given the Tilu weapon, a red beam of light, or a light beam ray gun, from the gemstone Sardius, a laser that was created by his grandfather Anu to stop Tarnush in his disagreeable ways. He succeeded in his mission. 31. The gold was being transported by cylinder-shaped crafts, 30 to 60 miles in size. 32. They were assembled on Lamu, Mars, and parked on the dark side of Sheshki, the moon. 33. The smaller crafts were 1.5 miles by 2 miles. They had androids called robotoids that would scout out the minerals of the planet controlled by the Rumardians. 35. Humbaba and his followers who supported him, which was 1/3 of Rizq, were cast out and was never to return there. 36. Humbaba had taken residence in the planet Titan, which is considered a moon of Saturn. with a breed of reptilian beings. The largest of Saturn's 18 known satellites is Titan. The diameter of Titan, including its atmosphere, is 3,400 miles. This satellite in your solar system has a thick atmosphere and is about 2.5 times as dense as that of the Earth. Titan's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, with small amounts of methane and other hydrogen compounds. 37. They, Humbaba and his followers, were mammalia, any of various warm-blooded reptile animals of the class of mammals, from late Latin mammalis, of the breast, from Latin mamma, meaning breast. This mixture bred human-looking snakes called serpents, people who speak with a whisper. 38. Because of the damage that Tarnush had done to the planet Rizq, the Rizqians started expeditions looking for gold. 39. Marduk and a group of the Anunnagi were chosen to seek this gold, which they knew could be found in abundance on the planet Tiamat, meaning Maiden of Life. They made many trips in a mothercraft called Nibiru, which means planet of the crossing, or that which crosses the skies. 40. Marduk found minerals on Tiamat, and he set up a base on Lamu, meaning deity of war, today called Mars. 42. He also went on the dark side of Sheshki, where people had already lived under the rule of Luna or Lunar, who originally came from Gaga, Pluto. 43. The planet Gaga, Pluto at the time, was an emissary of Anshar, Saturn, before it was thrown into its own wobbling orbit when one of the satellites of Nibiru crashed into the planet Tiamat, now called Earth. Those were some of the planets that were on Nibiru's regular routes. 44. The planet Tiamat was a regular stop-off as well, along with the planet Mars, which to the Romans is known as the father of Romulus and Remus. He was the consort of Rhea Silvia, god of war, originally called Mars Silvanus, god of desolate places. 45. Silvanus was symbolized as a half-man and half-goat, the father of war, symbolic of the ancient Egypt deity Ra, the symbol of the ram, deity of the sun, fertility, of life and growth, which is pronounced as Re, as in the rays of the sun. 46. The reverse of the word Mars is rams, and the inversion of the word Mars is wars, a symbol of blood called the red planet, also called Al-Mirik, the long arrow symbol of war. Other names for it is Al-Kunas and Bahram. 47. Mars data. Distance from the sun equals 142,000 million miles. Diameter equals 40,022 miles. The time Mars takes to orbit the sun equals 680 days. The time Mars spends on its axis equals 24 hours, 37 minutes, and 3 seconds. It tilts on an axis of 25.2 degrees. 48. Mars shines in the sky with a reddish color, and it is sometimes called the red planet. The orbit of Mars is more oval than that of the Earth. Mars's thin atmosphere is made up almost entirely of carbon dioxide. 49. Temperatures at the planet's equator may occasionally reach 60 degrees Fahrenheit. However, during the shadow hours, temperatures can drop to nearly 202 degrees Fahrenheit. Tons and tons of rocket fuel could be synthesized out of Mars's air, making traveling to and from Mars even easier than trips to the moon. The Martian soil also contains an abundance of gypsum, which can be baked by adding some Martian water and iron-rich dust. On Earth, this is cement. 51. It has 2 moons, one called Phobos, 19 miles at its widest points, and it circles its planet at a distance of 2,462 miles. Phobos completes its orbit in about 7.5 hours, which is less time than it takes Mars to turn once on its axis. The other, Deimos, is 12 miles at its widest points. It circles Mars at a distance of 14,700 miles. 52. Both Phobos and Deimos were born by meteorites, captured as asteroids in its orbit. 53. Here, you will find prototypes of Homo sapiens. Thus, the word parthenogenetic, which explains that this site, where there are pyramids and ruins of temples of the Anunnagi, were used for the cloning of Homo erectus to Homo sapiens, called the Adama Project. 55. This is where the face of Kadmon can be found. 56. Today the site is called Sidonia, or Sidonia from Sidon, the first son of Canaan, father of the albinos, the cursed seed of Ham. Sidon is and means the fortress, and is fortified. His wife was Jinnah. 57. This is why today astronomers are interested in the planet Mars, because they have discovered that life existed there before, and that there is a possibility that they might be able to bring human life to that planet again with its Martian atmosphere. This reading is part of the renewal of our story. The time is not tomorrow. The time is not later. The time is now. If you don't always have the time to sit and read the holy tablets, just press play on the playlist right here on All Eyes on Egypt TV. Let the words flow into your spirit. Let them guide you and let them raise your vibration. Because this knowledge is pertinent to our spiritual growth, it is the weapon against negative forces, and it is the key to elevating mass consciousness. So if you're ready for more, type holy tablets in the comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This video is powered by aoebookstore.aoebookstore.com, the largest selection of books by Dr. Malachi Z. York.